Hello all. Today we are going to see what is human-computer interaction, that is HCI, the introduction towards HCI. I am Bhanupriya. I am going to tell you the introduction about HCI. HCI is human-computer interaction. In daily life, we use and we interact with various devices to fulfill many objectives. For example, via computers, mobile phones, even ATMs, and many more devices. However, there is a huge diversity in such devices or machines. Also, we are diverse. Uses are diverse, and the task and objectives are even diverse, and even the way of interaction or the communication medium are different. This is the basic scenario. This figure shows the scenario of diverse communication, interaction, computer, and even the uses. So what is HCI? HCI is a field of study that deals with humans, computers, and communication between the human and the computers. If you look at the human building interaction, there we have human and we have computers, and there is an interaction between these two. So what is the objective of HCI? HCI is for designing an interactive products or systems to support the people in everyday lives, for making their lives very good and lively. So this slide shows the components of HCI. If you look at the components of HCI, it is just three components. One is the human, the other one is a computer. Finally, it has interaction. What is human? We all are humans. That is, the users of this HCI system is human. If you look at the users are now trying to get the job out of the technology. The user can be an individual or a group of users or a group of organizations or a single organization, or there is no range for user. Next, the component of HCI is a computer. We all know computer doesn't mean only computer. Any technology ranging from general desktop to even a bigger computer system or even an embedded system is under this computer. Next, finally, what is interface? Interface is nothing but the communication medium between the user and the computer. The interaction can be done directly or indirectly. If you look at the direct interaction, it involves a dialogue with the feedback, and also there is a control throughout the entire task that is performed. Whereas the indirect interaction, if you look at the indirect interaction, the batch processing or the intelligent sensors are controlling the entire environment during the performance of all the tasks. So this is called as both direct and indirect interaction, nothing but the communication between the user and the computer. Yes. Now we know the components of HCI. We have user, we have a communication medium, and a system. Now, how do you want to communicate with your user? Or how should a user communicate with a system? How is the communication happening? This slide shows the communication between a user and a system. We can have a command line interface, CLI, or a menu-driven interface, or a GUI, a graphical interface, or a normal NLP, that is a natural language interface. So what is a CLI? CLI, we all know. It is like displaying a prompt, and we use commands on the keyboard. The computer is going to execute those commands and provide the textual output. What is menu-driven interface? If you look at the menu-driven interface, now 90% are menu-driven or even GUI. So we have list of items shown, and we can quickly choose them from those lists by highlighting any one of them from the menu. That is called as a menu-driven interface. What is GUI? GUI, now it is very famous. Everywhere GUI is often used. For example, icons are used, menus, pointers, where WIMP is finalized. You just have to click on by a mouse, and that is being chosen. NLP. Now, it is not like always we have to execute a command or click via a mouse. Even I can talk. A normal language can be given as an input via voice activated text processing that is called as natural language interfacing. So these are the different communication medium between a user and a system. So now we'll see the HCI components. And we have seen like it is computer, human, and interface. If you look at this, the cognitive interaction between all two can be done via two types. That is, the interaction or the interface can be of two types. Falling under the 5 category, that is your sight, touch, hearing, voice, and spatial. The sight, touch, hearing, voice, and spatial are all coming under your cognitive interaction. Why cognitive? Why cognitive is important? Because here the point where the computer is going to display the requested information. Human is going to tell what the computer has to do. Now the computer is going to understand that and display that information. There should be some cognitive interaction between that human and computer. How is it happening? The interaction can be of two types. That is, interaction one can have like a mouse, a keyboard, a touch screen, like that. And interaction two is nothing but can be via your NLP, that is your voice, or your speakers, your body movements, your gestures even. You can include senses, or even just the speakers or screens can be included for the communication medium. However, all these falls under the cognitive interaction only. Now, what is ACM or IEEE telling about HCI? As already told, the components of HCI is just human, a system, and an interaction between them. ACM and IEEE are eventually telling human-computer interaction is a discipline concerned with the design, evaluation, and the implementation of interactive computing system for human use with the study of major phenomena surrounding them. Here, the major phenomenon surrounding them can be any sort of application. If you look at the figure, this figure is showing the cognitive interactiveness between the human and the machine. Also, the interaction can be happening via a sensor, actuator, or any kind of environment between the human and the machine, and the machine processes it according to the human's commands. So basically, to put forward, simply HCI is a research in design to use the computer technology which focuses on interfaces between the users and the computers. Here the users are the people. Here, the researchers try to observe the ways how the humans can interact with the systems or the computers that allows to interact with the computer in just a novel, different ways. How is it happening? Nothing but man-to-machine interaction. Your HCI is man-to-machine interaction. Yes. So when it is man-to-machine interaction, obviously it involves a multidisciplinary approach. Multidisciplinary approach in the sense, even starting from your psychology, ending to your ergonomics, which majorly covers computer science and mathematics. Because we need the mathematical knowledge along with the coding knowledge, but the basics of your psychology, cognitive behaviors, and even falling into ergonomics. So HCI aims to create a user-centered technology which enhances the human capabilities by improving the interaction between the human and the machine interaction. If you look at HCI, we have seen it starts from mathematics, computer science, and even ergonomics from the base of your psychology. So what are the disciplines contributing to HCI? We could see like HCI falls under the disciplines ranging from computer science, cognitive psychology, social and organization psychology, ergonomics basically, and a part of computer science that is AI, artificial intelligence, linguistics, the NLP, philosophy, psychology, anthropology, sociology, everything for the basics of cognitive science. So the disciplines contributing to HCI are cognitive science basically for psychology, physiology, social psychology, and then even for ergonomics and human factors. And finally, we have mathematics and computer science based all fields. So that's why we call HCI to be a diverse field, a multidisciplinary field contributing towards the interaction between the user and the machine. So how is it happening? If you look at this figure, we have a human or a user and there is a computer or a system. The interaction between the human and the computer is linked directly or indirectly to build a beautiful environment. How is this environment be built? Is it needing for any behavioral needs, preferences, or interactional needs to be much more effective and enjoyable? Of course, yes. Because here HCI is involved from psychology. So what a user wants. If you are able to satisfy the need of the user, then automatically the user will be intuitively enjoying and the communication between the user and the system will be efficient. Because the ergonomics field helps with the satisfaction of the user via the communication. How is it happening? Only via an interactive interfaces. If the interactive interfaces are provided, then automatically the humans are satisfied via the communication. Here the HCA entirely aims for creating a user-centered technology via interactive interfaces used between the humans and the computers. What factors are to be considered for this? Obviously, the usability. Yes, the usability will always create satisfactions. Usability, accessibility, and the user experience will create a better satisfactory component in the HCI. If you look at the HCI, we have seen that to be a user-centered design. So HCI actually overlaps between this user-centered design, interactions, communications to create an intuitive product or a technology altogether, which actually satisfies the human users via the communication and beautifully understood by the human and the computer. All these aims and creating an interface that increases the productivity, which enhances the user experience, which obviously creates the reduction of risk via the safety critical system. Because we include even the critical systems or the disaster management systems in our communication and the medium in order to avoid chaotic disasters. Now, important topic, how HCI evolved. Evaluation of HCI. HCI, if you look at HCI, there are several milestones for the evaluation of HCI. Evolution of HCI started from early 1946. When the early computer started to evolve, obviously, that is the first stone for HCI, era for HCI. Then slowly, when visual display unit evolved, in the sense, the era of 1950, that is using the SAGE, semi-automatic background environment in visual display unit started evolving in defense system of USA, then even the HCI bloomed. Because we need a user and a system. Only if we have a system, HCI can start. Then slowly, after the development of Sketchpad in 1962 by Evan Sutherland, that proved a computer can be used for more than data processing, in the sense for any kind of communication even too. Then slowly in 1963, when the ideas of programming started blooming, it even highlighted this HCI. When the mouse is invented in 1968, obviously, we got an idea of this NLP, all these quickly to be done. Introduction of the personal computer dynamic by the Xerox PARC in 1970 even ignited HCA. Then, beautifully, when WIMP interfaces are in the hike or in the peak, when Windows are invented, we could able to understand the importance of screen sequential interaction between the computer and the user, or even how simultaneous job can be done via this WIMP interfaces. Then the concept of metaphor and even direct manipulation of Mac, that is Apple Mac, in 1984 helped this to bloom. When the hypertext is invented in 1945 to denote the linear text or the structure of text, it became very easy for the command line interface. And even when important point is when www 1989 started using graphical mouse browsers, and automatically this HCI is to the peak. Now we could see a lot of sensor-based or context-based, context-aware computing, pervasive computing, all these are blooming via Vicus computing. This in peak, making HCI very important. After seeing how the HCI evolved, we could understand what is the need of HCI, why we are in the era of HCI to make the productivity and the satisfactory an important component between a human and a user, between a user and a computer. If you look at the successful product of HCI, so the important factor is the usefulness or the usability, then usable, useful, and used. So what is this useful? For example, now you make a document for some usable characteristics or usefulness, then what is this usable? Obviously, now you make it without any error, then used. Now people have started using it and they're able to engage or like they liked it. That is used. If you look at this useful, usable, and used, research model falls under these categories. You first create a user model via the definitions or the requirements of the user. Then you try to search the interactive designs. Finally, you end up with the interface. So now, basic goal of HCI is the usability we have seen, is to enhance the user experience, to enhance the satisfaction factor of the users. So one of the key concepts in HCI is nothing but is concerned with how the systems can be easily learned and how it can be satisfactorily used. If you look at the usability of the system, first concept is it is simple to learn, easy to learn, then even. Now it is easy to learn, so easy to operate or easy to remember. Now easy to operate, then obviously effective to use. Once if it is effective to use, then even it becomes efficient to use. Finally, users should feel safety or safetiness or some safe characteristics when using those interfaces or the usability. Finally, they're able to feel the safetiness. The system is effective. They will start enjoying the system and the concept. So the basic goal of HCI is usability, is to create the maximum usable system out of the good. So what are the applications of HCI? If we look at the applications of HCI, so HCI, since it is a broader field or interdisciplinary field, obviously it has much more things than from industry to even extreme. For example, in areas like user-centered design, UCD, in user interface, UI designs, and user experience designs, UX designs. Basically, it is UI, UX designs, and even ranging from user-centered design. Some considered HCI to be a forerunner for UX, UI design even. Now, we look at the research applications of this HCI. Obviously, it is the learnability, usability, and findability. So usability, we had a discussion, lot and more in usability. Learnability, when it is simple to learn and easy to implement. Findability, again. So how to evaluate and compare between your different interfaces in terms of their usability is a question. How a human or a user is satisfied? How to determine the satisfactory factor is another question. How should you understand these implications between the human and a computer interaction is another question. Now, the solution for all these questions follows. So the applications of HCA are healthcare technologies, education-based technologies, context-aware computing, voice user interfaces, even now the eye tracking basically where a person is looking or just by gazing we are able to track an object. Now ranging from normal ubiquitous to the AR, VR, and even the cloud computing happening at present. Obviously, there are few limitations while considering the human-computer interaction. What are they? Not a natural way a human is interacting. Yes, a human-to-human interaction, fine. Whereas human-to-machine interaction, a lot of more behind that. You have to understand how it can be designed for a different user. How a user of different variations expects the design to be varied. Even the failure need to be satisfied or to be solved in the diverse category of people. Obviously, it is difficult to be used by disabled, illiterate, and untrained people because we should be training them how to use this. If they are disabled or illiterate or untrained, it is of no use. So it is difficult. Not adroit, it cannot be. However, it is difficult for few people. Also, this cannot be a universal interface. Like you cannot claim the interface you have designed to be a universal one to be used for any kind of user who will have a better usability or the satisfactory to the core. It varies. Thank you.